Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we get together every morning and just help encourage each other to just continue to peace out, trust God for the day, trust God for, the days that add up to weeks and months and years, right? And so here we are, just still doing it, still getting together almost every morning. We don't do it on Sundays, and I do put these over on YouTube, and you want to check out my YouTube channel because I got stuff over there that I don't have over here, right? So anyway, I hope you're having a good morning so far, and I hope that you're having a good week. And surprise, it's a new month today, right? We're into August, the eighth month. It's a good month. I'll just say that, right? So here we go. We're through with July. We're just moving ahead. So I hope July was good for you. It was good, pretty good for me. It was awfully hot. And it looks like August is going to be hot too. That's like the norm, right? It's always that way, right? No surprise there. Anyway, I hope you're having a great morning no matter what. So this morning, I got totally distracted by this one little word. I'm just going to say that. I even titled this "Distracted by a Word" because actually, what happened? See, what happened was, I saw a post on someone's wall their Facebook post that had a verse on it, and I was like, does it say it just like that? So I went and looked at that this morning in my devotional time. I thought I'm going to start there, and because I love creation, and I just think creation is amazing, I just dove into Genesis 1. Now, we see that as basic, and it is, but I would rather use the term foundational, right, to our whole belief system is that God created the heavens and the earth. If you can't believe the first verse of the Bible, you're probably not going to get anything else out of it, right? So the first verse says God created. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And we read this account in Genesis, and there's several other places. Job, God described creation to Job in Job. Isaiah talks about creation. The Psalms talk about creation. And as I got into this, I got all distracted by this one little word. And I'm going to sum this up at the end. You'll see. I'll get to peace out, right? But right now, I'm just looking at how amazing God is. And here's what happened. The funny thing was, once I got into this and I started just really, I read with my brain and my heart, right? And I was thinking about what did that look like? How did that come about? And I got my focus off of all this whole list of things that I got for God to take care of, hopefully today, right? Look, Lord, you know I need this, I need this, I need help with this, because I won't put it on you. I can get so absorbed in my own thoughts and trying to figure out how am I going to solve this? What's the best solution for this? How do I manage this? How do I handle this? What do I do with that? How do I take care of Chris better? How do I just, all these things are not necessarily even worrying. It's I have this analytical mind that just plagues me sometimes. I'm always trying to put the right pieces together in the right place and figure out how things are going to all work together. So this took my mind off of that because I began to read, and I read with my mind, right? I just didn't just mindlessly read. That's a good thing, right? And so I started reading, and I was like, how? And so I started asking questions. And you know what? It's okay to ask God questions. Now, He asks questions we see through scriptures, not for information, because He already knows the answer, right? But maybe He wants us to think. Maybe He wants us to think, where did that come from? Why did I do that, right? And so I started asking questions like, how did this really, what did that look like? Because we got God sitting on the throne. There is no time yet, only eternity, right? And that's enough to blow my little pea-sized brain. Just that there was no time. They didn't have a watch. They didn't have a clock. The sun wasn't even up yet, which is something that was so interesting about this thing. But as I got into this, I forgot my list. I forgot my concerns for a minute. I forgot what I had to do for the day. I got all into this. Matter of fact, I was almost late coming on because I was just so involved, right? Because I wasn't thinking about myself anymore. Had changed my focus over to God. And even though I wasn't praying about anything in particular, I wasn't studying about anything in particular, my thoughts began to just get clearer because I was not thinking about them and my situation, but I shifted my focus over to God. That's so important especially when we got so many things going on in our lives, and we all do, right? We all have all these things going on, but if you just take those few minutes, you give your soul a rest, right? When you just take your focus off of life itself and focus back on God, because God is the only constant in our life. He is not going to change. He's always going to be right there, and he provides that stability. When we can trust him, right? So let's get into this. I'm already halfway done with my time, and I'm not even into it. But here's the word that stood out to me: separated. Because in Genesis 1, I'm in my New Living, the old New Living. It's the one I like. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. Now, there is not a sun. There's no sun yet. There's no stars yet. God said, let there be light, and light was. See, we sometimes forget that the sun is not the sun is, God set the sun as a source of light, but it's not the source of light. God is the source of light, right? So he said, let there be light, and he said, he saw that it was good. Then he separated the light from the darkness. Now my little pea-sized imagination goes crazy on that. What did that look like? What did it look like in as time began to be? He says, let there be light, and there's light. And then he goes, okay, light, you stay over there, and darkness, you get over there. What did that look like? What a moment, right? The beginning of all these things that we see started with God saying, just let light be, right? And it was, and then he separated it from the darkness. This was a purposeful action, it sounds like, right? Then it goes on down. The next verse, it says, let there be a space between the waters, right? Well, it says God called the light day. He called the darkness night. Boom. One day, we got our first day. He said, light be. There it is. There's day. It wasn't even, we could say that we call it the first day of creation, but it was the first day, right? Not just in a list of creation. Just, it was the first time there was a day ever, right? And then he goes on, it says, let there be space between the waters and separate the water from the water. And it says God made this space to separate waters from the waters below. And so there's that space in between and before Noah and the flood. This is my real baby understanding of this, is that before the flood there was waters above the heavens, and then there was waters on the earth, and the space and the atmosphere was all in between. And then in Noah, the flood, God released the waters in the heaven, but that watered the earth. And now the earth doesn't make new water, so all this water that we see was here in the beginning. It was here when Noah was here. It just keeps going around this ecosystem and cleansing itself, and we keep trying to mess it up, of course. Anyway, then he goes on down, and in verse 14, because this is the one thing that just always blows me out. It says, blows my mind. It says, and God said, let bright lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night. Then he set them off to mark the seasons, the days, and the years. So God created math. Don't tell anybody, they'll be mad, right? He set a way to mark and to measure time, days, months, years, right? God did that. But it says he set the sun to rule in the morning, in the daytime, and the moon to rule at night. And we know the moon is just a reflection of the sun. But, if we take that picture just a little deeper, don't want to get too philosophical or anything here, but if we take that a little deeper, aren't we just reflections of the sun? Of the Son of God, of God? We're just reflections of him in this earth. So we're little moons running around, right? Okay, kind of. Don't be mooning anybody. He set the sun there. Now, this is day 4. On day 1, he said, let there be light, and boom, there was light. And he separated it. Light, stay over there, darkness over here. Then 3 days later, he goes, sun, you govern the day, the moon, you govern the night. Can you imagine how dark it would be at night if there wasn't a moon and stars? If you've ever been down in a cave, that is a darkness you can't even describe. You literally can't see movement. There's nothing to reflect light at all. If you don't have a source of light, it is the deepest, darkest dark. It's so dark you can feel it, right? It's almost creepy. It is creepy in a cave, right? And so, it's like he created the light. He created the darkness. Then he set the sun there 3 days later on day 4. He didn't just create the sun and go, that was the source of light. God is the source of light. And so I'm reading all these things. Then even on day 4, he says he separated the day from the night. He said the sun and the moon are to mark off the seasons, the days, and the years, and their light will shine on the earth. And so, and it says, for God made two great lights to shine down on the earth, the greater one. Then he made the stars. And I was just thinking about how amazing all of this story of creation is. Then he speaks plants. Plants just began to grow, and he said, "Waters be filled with sea life," and they just were filled with life. And then he took the time to form Adam. And then he took the time to take Eve from him. He purposefully kind of stopped there. He's no longer speaking, he's actually doing, right? So I was thinking about all these things, and mostly just how he separated things out, and how amazing it is that there was light before there was the sun. The sun is not, our God is the source of light, right? I was thinking about all these things. So I ran over here to Psalm 19 because this is what happens when we shift our focus off of what we're dealing with. And not that we don't pay attention to what life is doing and be irresponsible. I'm not talking about that. But if we can shift our focus for a minute to what God does, it lessens the burden of what we're doing. Right? And so I ran over here to this psalm because this psalm came to mind as I was reading the creation story. Again, Psalm 19 says this: the heavens tell about the glory of God. You know, some versions say the heavens declare the glory of God, or they are constantly speaking of the glory of God. So the heavens tell or declare the glory of God. The skies display his marvelous craftsmanship, his creativity. Doesn't that just blow your mind? That day after day they continue to speak, night after night they make him known, make God known, right? They speak without a voice or a word. Their voice is silent in the skies, and yet we can look at creation and go, there's got to be something bigger than me. Isn't that kind of the point? When we look at creation and we look at what God did and we realize, oh my gosh, God is bigger than me. He's bigger than this circumstance that I'm dealing with. He's bigger than the things I'm facing every single day. God is bigger. If he wasn't, what good would he do us? Right? If he wasn't bigger than us and we could handle everything on our own. Now let me say this, sometimes we think we're bigger than God and we can handle things on our own, but we need him. And creation reminds us how creative he is, how powerful he is, how wise he is to set the things in motion that have stayed in motion all these thousands of years, right? It says, yet their message has gone out to all the earth without any words, without any voice. We all get it, right? And the word, and to the words to the world. The sun lives in the heavens where God placed it. The sun has never said, I don't want to be over here, right? No, it just sets where God placed it, right? Nothing can hide from its heat. It says, the sun rises at one end of the heavens and follows its course to the other end, just as God designed it. That's the God that cares about us. That's the God that didn't just play with nature as he was creating all these wonderful things and say, "Oh, this is fun. Let's make something else." No, he did it purposefully, and he purposefully created you, and he put you right here in time. And we could go into Psalm 139, which we won't, but I go there a lot. How he watched you form in your mother's womb. He watched you grow fingernails and hair, and your body, your eyes began to develop, and your brain began to develop, your arms and your legs. He's intimately acquainted with all of your ways, and that's a big thing for high energy people like me, right? I have a lot of ways, right? He knows my words, and I have a lot of words before I speak them. That God wants free clearance to be a part of your day. He wants free clearance to just give you peace when you need it. He wants free clearance to just love you better than you've ever been loved before, to just be a part of your life, to walk with you, to talk with you, to be with you. So whatever you're dealing with today, put it on hold for just a second and walk through creation. Read Genesis 1, Psalm 19. It's a good one too. And just think about God for a minute, because it will release that burden, at least for a minute. But that big God wants to hear what you have to say. That big God says, I gave you peace. I'm giving you peace. I made a way for you to get back to me. He is focused on you. Take a few minutes today to focus on him and let him give you that peace that can only come from knowing Him. Have a great day, you guys. Peace out. Trust Him for today. He's got you. I'll see you tomorrow.